everyone to this free webinar that we decided to put together. We are so glad to have you here. Thank you for joining us here in our GVAA community page. As you know, Global Voice Acting Academy is a voiceover school. We do training, demos, live classes via Zoom, webinars. We also have a membership for mentorship. Everything and anything that pertains to helping voice actors make the most of their career is what we are all about. We are here to help answer questions today, and there's been a lot going on in our industry, and there's been a lot of change recently, but also even just over the past 5 to 10 years, massive changes in our industry. And there's one that, has been a really hot topic all the time, which is online casting. It's changed our industry completely from top to bottom. People who did voiceover 20 years ago, 15 years ago, it is an entirely different ballgame out there with online casting coming in. But it can be a good thing. It can also potentially be a negative thing. Like anything else, I think what we're going to explore here today is talking about the fact that you can have a career outside of online casting. There are many people who have come into the world of voiceover through online casting alone. That was the only avenue that they'd found from the beginning, and that's how they built their entire business and income. That's not to say that it's good or bad. It's one way in which many people have established very, great careers. However, it is not the only way to build a profitable voiceover business for yourself. And so today we're going to explore all of these other options outside of online casting to empower all of you with new tools for finding other ways to find a voiceover business. So online casting, like anything, there are going to be great companies with integrity that stand up for fair rates. As you all know, the GVAA rate guide is something we care. We're very passionate about fair rates for voice actors and protecting talent, that they are compensated fairly for what their work is being used for. And there are going to be online casting sites that perhaps don't. Just like anything in the world, there's going to be, good and bad. And so what you will need to do as voice actors, like anything, you have to be responsible and you have to research anything that you choose to participate in. So do your homework, get involved in different Facebook groups, ask for referrals, and use Google. Google is your friend. There is a lot of information online in order to explore these different companies and to see whether they're reputable, whether they stand up for voice actors, whether they have your best interests in mind. So again, that's sort of just the overall industry picture right now. But again, now getting to our tools for how we can empower all of you with more ways to go out there and build your own business free from any paid subscriptions. Cool? All right, here we go. So I'm going to introduce my super awesome panel here. I am so pumped to have them all here. First, I'm just gonna let them introduce themselves. Oh, I should probably start. I'm Christina. Malizia, I always forget. Yeah, so I'm the founder of Global Voice Acting Academy. I run it with David Rosenthal, and so that's me. I've been a voice actor for 25 years, since the age of 8, and I do character and commercial work. And I will pass it over to Miss Danny States.
Great. Hi. Thanks for being here. I'm Danny States, and I am a voice actor, and I'm also a co-founder of voiceoverview.com, a tool that helps you track and manage your voiceover business. So yeah, I have 15 years of marketing experience, and 4 years ago I started doing voiceover. So I'll talk about that.
Awesome. Thank you, Danny. And Sophia Cruz, I will let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Christina. I'm Sophia Cruz. I am a bilingual voiceover talent. I began my voiceover journey 12 years ago, and right away I knew I needed to learn business and marketing. So I delved right into that, and it's been a decade that I've been studying with the best and brightest minds today in voiceover and marketing and business development. So that's why I'm here.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And what many people don't realize when you get into voiceover is that you don't get to just be an artist and someone's just going to find you and just discover you, and then you'll just have tons of work. A massive percentage of voiceover is being an entrepreneur and learning how to market. It's not the fun part. It's not at all the glorious part. And I'm sure it's not the reason why you got into voiceover, but it is an absolute necessity if you are going to succeed as a voiceover talent. Cool. So we are going to hop right in, and we're going to start with Danny States, and she's going to kick us off and just give us her whole experience from the beginning as someone who started exclusively in online casting, correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So I started, as I mentioned, I have 15 years of marketing experience, some major companies. And so I got laid off in 2013, and I'd been kind of thinking about doing voiceover for, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years, but really hadn't done anything. And when I got laid off, I said, all right, I'm going to give it a try. And I jumped in full time right away. And I don't recommend that to anybody. I did have some savings, and I had 6 months of unemployment that I was able to use as backup as I was sort of trying to build a little tiny business. So I started out on voices.com, and I started out exclusively there. And what I did from the very beginning was I tracked my business. I tracked my auditions, and I literally, just like a tally, I did 10 auditions today. I did 8 auditions today, whatever it was. I tracked those auditions, and I tracked my bookings. And one of the things that as a beginning voice actor, that's so important to do is to track your auditions and track your bookings so that you can see what your audition to booking ratio is. And what that is, how many auditions does it take for you to book a job? And I will share that, when I started on voices.com, I was booking 1 in 69 auditions. And in tracking that, what I was able to do is I was able to actually see, that booking ratio. I never know whether I'm supposed to say it goes up or it goes down, but I was able to see it get better. So I was able to track that and really see that. And one of the things that helped my audition to booking ratio get better, and I know that Sophia will talk about this, and I know Christina will as well, is that I did a ton of training. I trained a lot. And that is one of the things that I think a lot of people who are starting out in voice acting, especially if they're away from major hubs, like I was in Reno, Nevada. That's one of the things that people overlook, or they think maybe, I don't necessarily need to do a lot of training. In that first year, I spent over $4,000 training. And I went over to San Francisco, which was a 4-hour drive. I went over there almost once a month, if not twice a month, to take classes over a weekend. And I did that all throughout 2014. I did it as well in 2015. So and I still do it today. So I think that's one of the things that's really important. If you want to do well at voice acting, if you want to build a career doing voice acting, you need to train. You can't just assume that, you can get a mic and go to an online casting site and start auditioning, and pretty soon, you'll be making buku bucks. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So I trained a lot, and I tracked all of that training as well. By the end of 2014, 68% of my business came from voices.com. The other, what's the math, 32%? The other 32% of my business actually still came from there, but came from clients that hired me outside of the site. And one of the things that I think is really important for anybody who is doing online casting to know is that, with very few exceptions, those clients that you are booking with on any online casting site, with very few exceptions, those clients are yours. And everybody thinks, that's not my client. There are certain websites that say you can't contact the client directly. You can't work with the client directly. Well, on most of the websites, if the client is booking you directly, if they're reaching out to you through that website and hiring you through the website, you have their information. You have their name. You have their email address at the minimum. You often have their company. You often have their address. You often have their company website. And that's true for most of the casting sites. So from the very beginning, I was capturing that information. I was capturing the names of the people that were hiring me. I was capturing their contact information, and I was putting that all into a tool that my husband built for me that actually Voice Overview is based on. I was putting all of that into a tool that helped me keep track of them and helped me keep track of my business. So the only exception to that rule are a couple of sites where they literally put up a wall and you cannot see the who's hiring you. And then some of those websites where someone else inside of the company is managing that job. If someone else inside of the company is managing that job, then the rules of the game are that they're their client. But anywhere else, they are yours. And so I just want that to be very clear. So in the end of 2014, when I decided that I was going to start branching off from voices.com and I was going to jump into Voice 123 and some other areas to try and expand not only my business horizons, but also the pool of clients that I could grab and make my own. So I started to do that. So in 2014, like I said, 68% of my business came from voices.com. The other 32% came from clients directly, some of whom contacted me outside of that site. In 2015, my clients changed. My clients changed quite a bit. I was now starting to get some from another online casting site, 123, some from voices.com, and I was getting more from those clients that I had originally booked through those online sites. And that's the thing that I think is so important. And I know Sophia will talk about this in terms of marketing. You can reach out to those clients. And here's how I did it. So after I would book a job and I would go through the proper protocol for submitting the job and doing all of that, I would then have their email address and I would reach out to them directly and thank them for the job. Thank them for the business, thank them for the job, tell them what a pleasure it was to work with them, and let them know that the next time that they had a job, that I'd be happy to work with them, whether it was through the online casting site that they originally hired me, or if they wanted to go direct. And I just made it that simple. And that's what started happening. I started getting more clients that would come to me direct rather than going through the online casting site. So that's a huge part of it. The other part of it is really understanding where your business is coming from. So one of the things that as I mentioned, my husband built me this beautiful spreadsheet that allowed me to see where my business was coming from. Was it coming from voices.com, Voice 123, clients direct, referrals, through social media, other marketing efforts that I was doing? I was able to track all of that and be able to start to see sort of how my business was stacking up and where it was coming from, as well as the types of work that I was doing. So commercial work. So early on, I did a lot of explainers. I did, a lot of corporate videos. I did some telephony, some, telephone work, and not very many commercials. But as I trained, as I spent money on training, as I worked with coaches, and I worked with coaches, also through GVAA. I worked with some coaches online. So as I did that, I started to be able to do, more commercial work as well. But I could see like that whole breakdown of how my business looked. And being able to see that is really important, because if you can see where you are, you can look and see where you want to go. I knew that Go ahead.
Sorry, and I didn't mean to. Just quick question. I just want to make sure I understand really quick. So this is, and we'll get into all the. There's an amazing tool that Danny has actually helped develop so that people can start to track this information for themselves. And so my understanding is that you are not powerless, even if you are happening to use online casting is really the main point. You are not powerless to be this. That you. If you get the marketing tools together, you can learn how to reach out independently, even if you've established this whole business online.
Thank you, Christina. Yes.
So I just want to make sure that's clear to everyone. So, okay. And that I was understanding correctly. So my question for you is, at what point did you feel like, once you started to see, okay, here are all these clients that I have, where do I want to go? And is online casting alone, are those projects really something I want to be focusing my efforts on, or do I want to be moving away from that? And how did you go about doing that?
Yeah. So in 2015, I made a conscious choice no longer to do managed jobs on a certain site. I only wanted to do jobs that were that were not managed, that I could control the relationship with the client. I set my sights on completely disengaging from voices.com by the end of this year. And actually this year I'm done. So my website or my profile's still up there, but I'm trying to get it down. So, but yeah, so I made a conscious choice in 2015 that I wanted to shift my business away from voices.com. I wanted to shift it toward more clients direct. And so how I did that was, first of all, by understanding my business. You know, if you don't know where your business is coming from, you don't know where you want to take it. So so I tracked it and managed it, and I knew what I was doing with it. I did some marketing programs that I followed, and I did those things. And I kept reaching out to my clients. So I reach out to my clients regularly, not too regularly, but I reach out to my clients regularly, and often with nothing that has to do with voiceover. I have if you've seen my dog on Facebook, I have a big Great Dane. And so I reach out to my clients every few weeks or so with a Moments with Moose email. And it just reminds them that I'm around. I get referrals from clients. I give great customer service. So I give great customer service, and I get referrals from clients because they know that I'm going to take care of their friends or their producer friends. And so that's how I did it.
And did you do it all through this kind of direct? How did you go about acquiring? So that was very cool, you know, the ways in which you captured the information from the online sites, and then it, you know, and so then when you chose to leave, then you had all that information was still there. But also, how did you go about finding perhaps new clients and new direct relationships?
So I have done, can I plug? I don't know. I have done League of List Builders, and I did that program. And for me, it was more just kind of getting an understanding of how to really go out and target production companies. So that's what I started doing. I started targeting production companies and sending just a nice short, hi, hey, I like you. I like your work. And this is me. I think you might like my work. And so I've gotten some clients through that. Again, I've gotten clients through referrals. I have booked a couple of jobs with agents. I do have agents, but I've only booked a couple of jobs with them. Yeah, I mean, it's really been sort of an organic, that's the best way to put it. It's been sort of an organic happening that I caused by, yeah, go ahead.
And at what point did you reach out to agencies and start applying there?
Yeah, so I reached out to agencies. So when I had a demo that I was proud of, that I had some other much more experienced and seasoned voice actors listen to, and a couple of coaches listen to and say, yes, you are definitely, you're marketable. Then I sent it out, and I sent it out to, a lot of agents. One of the things that I think is important to note, and I don't think I said this, but one of the things I think is important to note is that if you're doing training, you should always make sure that you're not working with that you're not working with a company that will sell you a package. Here's you're going to get 10 voiceover lessons, and then we're going to do your demo. You don't want to do that, because you don't know whether it's going to take you 10 or 20 or 30 or 100 to get to the point where you're going to do your demo. So for me, because I was training so much, I did do my demo fairly early. And, in some ways I probably wasn't ready. I mean, my demo was ready, but I wasn't necessarily ready to deliver on what my demo had to offer.
Got it.
So.
Cool. Well, and before we switch over, I would just say, your experience in terms of dealing directly with clients versus how you began perhaps with online casting, how has that experience been different, or more, what has that been, what's been the difference?
Yeah. So the difference, first of all, is clients come to me and they say, I have a job for you. I have a job for you. Okay, great. um, and they know my voice, they know my style, they know what I'm capable of, and so they just say, I've got a job for you. Sometimes I have clients that come to me and they'll still ask me to audition, but I'm auditioning with a really small group of other actors, and so that's really lovely. So yeah, so that's
Cool.
that's the difference. I mean, it's night and day, because you're working with a known entity. You're working with
Right.
people, people that you've built a relationship with, that care
Right.
about you. You care about them. All
Yeah.
of that.
And you can crack jokes and share pictures and
Exactly. Yes.
yeah, it
Yes.
makes a big difference. So
No,
cool.
absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. I
Yeah.
really appreciate you sharing your experience, Danny. I think there's a lot of people that feel sort of like they can't leave online casting sites, that that's their only
Mhm.
option. And so I really wanted to make sure, I was so excited that you came to talk with us today so that people are aware, that there are other options and there's ways to come out of that, that it may be gradual, it may be all at once, but there are these other tools, and Danny has done it very successfully, works full-time. Check out her website if you haven't. It's absolutely fantastic and beautiful. And thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Danny. I
Yeah.
really
That.
appreciate it. So you rock. Cool. And we will take questions at the end. So if you have a question for Danny, I saw that we just had one. Thank you for posting it, Toback. We will answer questions at the end for 10 minutes. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to try to keep mine short, which is, this hour is going to fly by, I can tell already. Again, my name's Christina. I'm a voice actor since I was 8 years old. So I have had an opportunity to watch the industry change drastically. I'm like the old school, like of the old like world talent, where this was before anybody had home studios, and you went to recording studios for every session. That's how it was. That's how I grew up. So I think something that has just hit the world the voiceover world so intensely is just technology. The fact that we can even record from a home studio, it's amazing. Truly, it's amazing. And the fact that you can talk to production houses, video production houses, animation houses, for me, toys and mobile game app companies from anywhere in the world. The fact that I can Google someone and look them up and actually send them an email or pick up the phone and call them, that's incredible. And that's not limited to online casting sites. That's something I have the power to do myself. If I have the drive, if I put in the time, I am empowered to do that. So I just want to say that first, because online casting sites, again, I think the concept of online casting is very cool in a lot of ways. And I think it could be done very well if it's done with integrity, that it has the voice actor's best interests in mind, that rates are regulated appropriately, usage is regulated appropriately. Those are all things that I think we're all hoping that perhaps, even the union perhaps will get involved someday. There are ways in which this could be built that could be really, really wonderful. And I think that's what we're all kind of hoping for. But in the meantime, that whole world will continue to evolve. And until it does, again, these are some extra tools. So I actually, at a certain point in my 20s, I discovered online casting and thought it was really cool, because what voice actor didn't think it was really cool? It was like, wow, that's awesome. So I signed up for Voices and Voice 123, and I played on there for a long time. Got all kinds of cool clients, and I had a blast. However, I think it was in 2015, there were beginning to be some issues with some of the online casting sites. I also became more knowledgeable about what fair rates were and what fair business practices were, and came to realize that a lot of these online casting sites were not regulating rates. They weren't protecting talent in any way. I realized, after some uncoverings of things that, I knew the business practices did not have my best interest in mind. I decided to leave online casting altogether. So I did. I just, for me, online casting was never a massive source of my income. It was just more, I had agency representation at that point, and it was just kind of an extra way I could make, some money. But for me, it was not a large percentage of my income, for sure. I did make some money on there, but leaving was not as difficult. But what leaving did for me was made me realize, how am I going to get my name out there more than just relying on my agent and whatever they happen to send me? And that's when I really, learned in terms of marketing, how much power you actually have as an individual. So what I do, I basically, I applied to every talent agency in the United States and the UK. Every single one, pretty much, I applied to. I began to use the internet and just started searching for private roster listings. There are many people who aren't aware that there are private rosters available to you. Almost, I mean, the majority of there are production houses out there that create videos for clients all the time. They create different advertising products, ad agencies. There are these companies, and they, rather than using, you know, a talent agency potentially, or sometimes maybe they do, many of them develop their own internal list of talent. Because if a client comes to them and says, hey, we want to make this video, we want it to be like this, and it's going to be awesome. So they make the video and they're like, oh, we need a voice talent. And I think we all know that sometimes a VO gets put to like, oh yeah, we need a voice talent. It has to happen super fast. And so many of these production houses say, well, here you go. I have 30 voice talent right here. And many of them will even have a link on the website itself where their clients can browse their talent, because it's all part of their selling package that they are creating for their clients. It's an added service. So many people just don't realize that it's there. Almost every video production company, most of them have an internal roster of talent. And that's something that you can contact them and try to get listed on. Those rosters do not cost you any money to be listed. It's a service that they provide to their clients. You pay nothing to be listed on there. Also, the advantage to being placed on a private roster of any kind is that you are not competing with hundreds and hundreds of other talent. You are being sent to a client with perhaps maybe 15 to 30 talent, maybe even less, maybe 10, maybe even 5, because they've said, we want this very specific thing. You may be one of 3 that they're sending, potentially. So your odds of booking go up drastically when you are on a private roster listing. So I began researching video production companies. And for me, I'm a character actor, so I looked up mobile game app companies. I looked up animation companies. I looked up toy companies. I looked up everything that applied to me, and I started reaching out. I even used, the App Store to find different, because you see all the apps and what companies made the app. So I would just go through there. I'd see who are the most successful apps and which one works best for me. Just as Danny mentioned, starting out by saying, hey, I took a look at your stuff and I think it's really cool. And I think that I'm, you have to know about the company, research the company that you're reaching out to, because you want to be a solution for them. And that's what people don't realize. You can't just be like, I am a voice talent. I have so much experience. I have great customer service. I am fabulous. Everybody's going to say that. So you have to reach out and say, hey, I think I'm a good fit for you specifically because I know all of this about your company. That's something really, 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 really important. If they're going to listen to you, they want to know how you are making their life easier. So that is what I did. Production houses, all of the above. I also asked for business cards for every recording studio I visited in person. What I have found also is that recording studios will also occasionally do casting and have their own internal roster for projects. Some recording studios do, some don't, but many of them are also audio production houses. And so often they will produce ads or they will produce different projects for their clients as well. So every recording studio I ever visit in person, I ask for a card and I say, hey, by the way, do you guys do any casting? And they'll say yes or no. And sometimes if I don't have time to talk to anybody appropriate, I'll just go look it up later and see what they got. But then I have an intro right away. Oh, you guys do casting? Well, may I send my demos over? And they've already seen I'm a legitimate talent. I walked in the door for an actual job. And they're much more likely to listen to me at that point, that perhaps I have something that might be of interest to their clients. So that is another way in which I was able to increase my roster listings. I ended up with 8 agents. And so I am a full-time voiceover talent now with agency bookings only and private roster listings. Another thing that was very, very important for me to even be able to do all of that is the demos. You have to have your demos in order if you are going to be taking things to the next level. You can have all the best intentions of the world and getting out there and be like, oh, good, I'm going to email all these production houses and I'm going to gain my independent business and all of that. But you cannot do that if your demo is not just like rocking. And maybe you're still starting out, like that's fine, you know, but make sure you can deliver on that demo, that you can do what's actually in the demo. Make sure you've gotten the training to back that demo up so that if they say, okay, we want that, you can do that in 3 takes. It's absolutely, you have to be able to do that. Otherwise it's not, you know, the people are in a rush. They expect it's on the demo. You have to be able to deliver that. And Sophia's going to talk more about this in just a second, having your demos together. For me, I did a lot of video reels as well. That was huge for me. And then I think I have 8 demos, 8 or 9. Actually, I have like 10 demos. I literally made a demo in every genre that I have, and it takes time. And yes, it's expensive. I'm not going to say it's not, because it is. It's expensive to do it right, to do it well, to go to a professional demo producer, not your friend Joe who has a, you know, audio degree. He might do a fine job. And maybe, you know, if you're just starting, there are some demos that, you know, there are things that are a little bit easier, but a professional demo producer will have researched the medium. They understand about marketing. They understand who you're marketing to. Demos are just as much about showing your range and what you can do, but they are also very, very much, if not more so, about marketing. Demos need to be marketed to who is listening and who is going to hire you. So many people don't realize that. They think it's just, oh, I'm just showing my range. It's not. You are marketing to someone very specific with your demo. So having somebody that has that understanding, who is your demo producer, is extremely important for getting the clients that you want to get and giving you that independence. So cool. So if you, I'm going to move this over to Sophia now. I also have a couple of free YouTube channels, which free videos on the GVAA YouTube channel. They're all free. One of them is called Success with Agency Submissions, and it literally walks you through the entire process of how to submit to an agency if you're not sure how to do that. I also have a career strategy webinar that talks about all of this in more detail, about setting up your day, making sure that you're putting in the time for marketing, and realizing that if you're not getting the bites, that, you know, you're sending out your demos and you're not getting much of a response, then you probably need more training and you probably need better demos. It's that simple, you know, and it doesn't mean that you're not good. It just means that you have some more work to do. Voiceover, it takes time and it takes study, and it's not going to happen overnight. And if you are in here for the long haul and you really want to make this your career, you have to expect that you are going to have to put in that time to study and to get better. So cool. All right. So I'm going to hand this over to Sophia, our wonderful marketing expert, and take it away, Sophia.
Thank you so much, Christina. Wow, I've just been listening to you and Danny and thinking, yes, 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 all yes. This is fantastic. So I'm going to repeat a lot of what they said, but I'm going to bring it in an outline that hopefully will be understandable to you. First of all, my first thing is I want to share a little bit more about myself, because I realized I didn't share that much when I did the introduction. So as a voiceover talent, and this is going to go into play with what I'm going to share in a little bit, but as a voiceover talent, I struggled with my brand early on in my early years, and that really hindered me. And I'm sharing this, and you'll see why it's so important later when I talk about this, but I struggled with understanding where my identity was, because I speak Spanish and English, and I thought back in the day, 10 years, 12 years ago when I started, I wasn't going to be received well if I was going to be Mexican online. And that really hurt me. And I worked with a coach that really was detrimental in that process with me. So working with a really great coach who understands you is another thing I'm going to plug, because it's so important. There can be excellent coaches, but if they don't get you, they can do more damage than good. So in the early years, I struggled with that. And then I finally embraced it. I am the perfect bilingual English-Spanish voiceover talent, both in the American and Mexican market. And I can do the seamless transitions from one language to the other. And this has shifted everything. The minute I finally focused and accepted me, who I am and what I bring to the table, my voiceover career completely changed. I changed my name as well. So my new website is not ready. So you can't, you can go there, but there's nothing there. But it will be ready soon. But anyway, just to echo what Danny said and Christina, I have spent in my income taxes, they tell you everything. The numbers don't lie, but I've spent up to $20,000 a year in training, both for voiceover and my business and marketing knowledge. I've trained with people within the industry and outside for business and marketing. I have a business coach that is not a voiceover actor. I'm in a mastermind group that has nothing to do with voiceovers. I have my own marketing mastermind group that I created. I work with multi-million companies to startup companies when I first started learning about business and strategizing with Chet Holmes and Tony Robbins. And that's really where I got my foundation in learning about business. And I quickly realized that I'm really good at that. And I really love helping people. And I worked as a human resource generalist, so I'm able to really help people understand a lot about this from a holistic approach. So what sets me apart in marketing is that I take a holistic approach. It isn't just me looking at you as a voice actor. I think that's really key in having success. I am the founder of VO Business Tools, and that's something that I just recently launched, and it's just helping voice actors understand the tools available to you to succeed in your voiceover career. A lot of that is marketing related. I've helped brands like Global Voice Acting Academy, VO Peeps. I'm the social media director of VO Atlanta, and I'm on advertising agency rosters, both big and small. Here in Chicago, there's a big one. Production rosters, I'm on studio rosters, and I get referrals and leads every month from all these things, and including social media. So what you need to know before you start marketing yourself, a lot of it has already been explained, but I'm going to break it down for you. So important for you to know, this type of work is not glamorous. It can absolutely be tedious. It requires dedicated, focus, and committed effort to see results. A solid understanding of who you are, your personality, your strengths, and your weaknesses. Are you a perfectionist? Do you self-sabotage? Do you have limiting beliefs like I did? You can say, I suck at marketing. I don't understand marketing. That might be true today, but you need to shift your mindset and you need to shift your story, because you can absolutely learn this skill. Doesn't mean you're going to become an expert. Maybe for you, you're not going to invest $50, $60, $70,000 in the next 5 years to learn about business and marketing, but you absolutely can learn the basics and shift your career. Do you like to have a detailed plan? Do you like to have just an overall plan? What kind of environment do you work best in? Maybe when you do marketing, you go to Starbucks and you work there. I don't know, but all these things really matter if you're going to have a marketing plan that's going to help you succeed. You also need to have a solid understanding of where you want to grow your business in. This isn't, well, here's my demo and I have no idea where I'm going. It doesn't work that way. When we try to be everything to everyone, you end up losing a lot. Instead, having a focused attention on where you want to grow. And it doesn't mean that you don't grow and take things to the next level. You start with one demo and you go to the next and the next and the next. It's not just, I want to have 10 demos and I want to get all the work this year. That's just not realistic. So you just want to make sure that you have a plan. And anybody who's worked with me, and I love Danny, you would have been like my perfect student. But I do everything in 90-day increments, because it's about setting goals that you can actually achieve. So a lot of successful business owners, entrepreneurs, millionaires work with 90 days. That's why big corporations have quarter fiscal goals and budgets and all of that for that reason. You need to do a lot of pre-work that a lot of people don't know. I also was part of League of List Builders, but I was also part of B School with Marie Forleo, which is what Jonathan Tilley took to learn how to create League of List Builders. So a lot of people think that the ideas originated with him. Not so. A lot of marketing stuff, nobody is the inventor of it. This isn't new. You know, this is all stuff that's been around for years. It's just about shifting it in, focusing it directly to our market and, of course, us as voice actors. But one of the things that you can do is create your ideal client avatar, or back in the day in Tony Robbins, Chet Holmes, we called them dream clients, whatever you call them. But you can use this model so that you can have the ability to find the clients that you want to work with. Great pay rate, easy working relationship, pays on time or even in advance. This is something that's just one element that will help you understand how to set a marketing plan for yourself. Because if you don't have an idea of who you want to work with, you're going to attract people that aren't going to, because a lot of you, and this was me at the beginning, because I thought I didn't fit in. My English wasn't quote unquote LA perfect. From Chicago, I didn't speak English until I was in 8th grade. You know, all these things. I don't know what your story is, but those were my stories. And I had to let them all go, because I had to believe that what I was bringing to the table was more than good enough. Of course, I've had the training to back that up, not just believing it. I've had to, study that. So anyway, that's what you need to know before you start marketing yourself. There's 2 ways to market yourself in simple terms: online marketing, offline marketing. Your website, make sure your contact info is on the front page and that your demos can be downloaded. That's just very, very important. I see a lot of my students struggling with this. When they come, that's the first thing we do. They shift. It makes a big difference. It's passive marketing. That would be considered passive marketing, meaning your website isn't touching people unless you're directly marketing, doing SEO stuff, doing Facebook ads, Google Words. There's a ton of ways to drive traffic to your website, but it's still a form of passive marketing. There's social media marketing. I told you in the beginning, I get referrals every month. A lot of it comes from social media. My recommended platforms are Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram is growing for sure. But you want to focus on one platform at a time. So what I recommend is that you get familiar with these 3. If you didn't want to go Instagram yet, you set up your profile, your pictures, however you want to work it, and get out there, but then just focus on one medium and learn it and grow, and then go to the next one. There are social media groups that are really, really key in finding referrals. So we have GVA membership. I know Christina talked about that, but the GVA membership actually gives out leads that they get on a monthly basis. Christina has personally sent rosters that she has found to the GVA membership. So that's a really good group to be in. There's an e-learning group. And some e-learning groups have producers, and not producers, instructional designers inside the group looking for e-learning talent. There is a bilingual group that I'm in. I get leads from that group. There is, I created VO Business Tools group, and maybe someday there'll be a referral on there. I don't know. Our focus is to do business tools, but so anyway, those are just some instances where social media can help you. Twitter also is really good with hashtags, following companies, companies following you back. All of that matters. So it's just having an overall online presence where you can speak about who you are, authentically you, what you bring to the table as a voiceover artist, what your brand is. So for me, it is the seamless English to Spanish voiceover. I always tell people if there's anything that they see that they think I'm a good fit for, please, I welcome their recommendation. I network with people. Also, I'm getting ahead of myself. Oh no, actually my next point is voiceover conferences. So voiceover conferences can be expensive, but they're super important in connecting with your peers and agents and some casting directors. I've met a lot of people in voiceover conferences over the last 5 years. I will tell you this, I'm at a point that this year, my highest return of investment was with a voiceover conference that I attended this year, but it's taken its stages. Now, I'm the social media director for VO Atlanta. I got many referrals from just being the face of VO Atlanta. People who I don't even remember meeting me have emailed me, say, my client's looking for a Spanish voiceover artist. I immediately thought about you. Are you kidding me? Thank you so much. So writing thank you notes, telling people what you offer, what you bring, and of course, one of the things that I have to say about social media is that you want to be professional on this platform. I know it's hard to do with all the stuff that riles people up, but it's so important. If you want people to trust you with their clients, you need to make sure that you can be trusted by the way that you behave. Because if you go on a tangent and you lose your temper, I'm going to think twice about how you're going to treat my client. So anybody who's referred clients to me know that I treat them exceptionally well. Like Danny said, always great customer service, always, always, always. And that applies to your social media platform. So there's many ways that you can customize your social media to be you and professional. So that's something to keep in mind. All right, so local business groups. So I'm in Chicago. There's of course your Chamber of Commerce. I found Chicago Latino Business Chapter, the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the national business chapters like the National Association of Women in Business, owners of media production companies. Research your local backyard. Mark did a webinar through GVAA, Finding Leads Locally. That was jam-packed with great information. I hosted that webinar, so you will see what my input is on that, but there's just so much that you can find in your own backyard. And I really believe in the person-to-person connection. Online stuff is great and it makes us global, but there's nothing like people meeting you face to face and getting to know who you are. So that's why voiceover conferences are so crucial. And that is why doing stuff in your backyard is also important. Cold calling is something that a lot of people don't like to do, but I would suggest as of today that you shift your mindset and see it as an opportunity to audition, because when you cold call, 90% of the time you're leaving a voicemail. Guess what happens when you leave a voicemail? They're hearing your voice. So if you can shift your mindset to cold calling being the way to audition for businesses live, that will help you. It doesn't mean it's for you. How I help my students is I help them understand all these things. We do cold calling sessions where they hear me cold calling, I hear them cold calling, I coach them, and then I say, look, you may never do this again, but at least you know how to do it. That's important. There's email campaigns. There's different email companies that are out there that you can set up your campaigns. MailChimp is free. I recently went back on it. It's improved quite a bit. So there's many tools available to you, which is what I will be showcasing inside VO Business Tools, but also helps you automate your marketing efforts as well. And then of course there's networking events. I call them relationship building events because that's the goal, is to build relationships with business owners. Referrals are key. I saw some of the questions. People said, do you ask for them? Absolutely, you ask for them. You can't always rely on people giving you the referral if you're not asking for them. So you want to ask for referrals from existing clients and peers. Men and women are a really great peer relationship. So I have a male friend here in Chicago that him and I do a lot of networking events together, because then he doesn't have to feel like, oh, I'm competing with a male and I'm competing with a female. It works really, really well. So find yourself a opposite sex buddy and go out there and network and have fun. It is so great. And my friend has also referred me to his clients when he's out of town and vice versa. So it works really, really well when you can connect with people and really have that relationship. It isn't about what you can do for me. Hi, Christina, I really like you. Can you refer me to all your clients? No, that's not how. Please don't do that. That's not how I get referrals at all. And anybody who knows me knows that I'm genuinely here to help people. It has nothing to do with I want to get referrals, but I do welcome that. And I have really appreciated that. And my referral rate is significantly high, and it's how I book a lot of work these days. And of course, there's repeat clients. When you serve your clients well, your clients will come back to you over and over and over again. And then of course you do have to get good at negotiation and understanding your worth, which I'm going to go to next. But you can market yourself locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally. That's 4 main areas. I recommend that you start on the local level. Why? Because you know your own market better than anyone. When I go to my local orthodontist, I get his competition. I understand what I wouldn't understand if I was targeting somebody in Detroit. So when you get the lay of the land in your own backyard, then I would go on to either regionally or internationally. My friend, Shelly Avellino, she is from Wales. And so she, has really helped me to think internationally. And I'm always so thankful for her. And, she shared all her contacts with me that are overseas. And so there's a lot of production companies out there, and there is a lot of business that you can do outside of the United States. I would recommend that you research which companies pay well and research which markets are really good for your brand and what you offer. So that's something that's really important. I'll give you a hint. Germany is a great country to do business with. India, in my experience, not so much. So it all boils down to building relationships. So while it's marketing, it's more about the relationships you will build through your marketing efforts that will bring you back business. So again, marketing has many prongs. I recommend that you start with one and move to the next until you've captured all the ones you want to learn and hone in on. So here's what you actually need before you start marketing yourself: a budget. We're offering you a lot of great information here for free, but guess what? Business doesn't thrive on free. So you do need to invest in yourself, not only for voiceover training, but also understanding how to market yourself. So voiceover tools, you need to have a budget, whether it's email marketing automation, postcards, your logo, your website, all of that, even coaching. If, you know, I've seen people who do this without coaching, and people who do it with coaching, and people who do it because they're really good at it naturally, but they learned it at some other way. But you still, at the end of the day, you have to invest in yourself and learning how to do this. Some people hire interns, some people hire an admin to do the research work. All of that is really important. But if you don't have a budget, then you're not going to know where you can invest and how far you can go for this particular year. Of course, you need a solid demo for each market you want to market yourself in. And no, not all the all-in-one VO school program. Here, pay us $5,000, here's your 2 demos, and we coached you for 10 seconds. That will not work. And because other people are marketing themselves a lot more these days, when they hear a real solid demo and then in comes your, you know, weekend demo, it's very obvious. You want to create your email list. You can research to find studio rosters, production companies, agencies, advertising agencies. You can buy them already made. We're going to give you a link at the end so you can see, you know, again, analyze what is your time worth. If you feel like your time is worth more money, then you pay for the list. It's okay. It doesn't matter how you get the list. You just got to do it. Whether an intern does it or you pay for somebody else to do it, that's really important. Or you create your own list. So there's something I wanted to talk about. We're running really late, but I wanted to share. There's something called Lunch and Learn that we did when I was working with Tony Robbins and Chet Holmes. So the Lunch and Learn thing is something that I've never heard anyone talk about, but it's really important for somebody who's new. If you are genuinely new and you want to bring value to production companies, for example, everybody loves free food. I don't know why, we just do. So you can offer to have you can name it whatever you want. This is what it was called back in the day. This is going 7 years now. So a Lunch and Learn, you would offer, I would call up a production company and say, you know, I'm new to the area. Let's say I just moved to Chicago, or you can say, I'm expanding my market in Chicago and I would love to understand what your needs are and how I can best serve you as a voiceover artist. Can I set up a lunch with you? I will only take 10 to 15 minutes of your time. Lunch is on me. We all got to eat sometime, right? So, believe it or not, that works really, really well. And you will have made a really good relationship, and people love good food. In Chicago, we are known for the Chicago deep dish. So I would take them to their favorite deep dish company if that's their thing. So that's something that's really important. You can do this for international, maybe not international, but national clients as well. And I've done this. I've sent pizzas delivered to companies that I want to connect with and say, you know, this is for your time that you took out to answer my questions. I so appreciate the opportunity to work with you. I hope you enjoy the Chicago deep dish experience. So get creative. And this is also why you need a budget. So you also need to understand that if you don't know who you're marketing to, you're not going to know how to market yourself. So for example, advertising agency companies, if you're marketing to them and you don't have a brand put together that speaks professionalism, they're going to think you are an amateur, because to them, all this stuff matters to them. This is how they spend millions of dollars with brands and advertising. So in the beginning, if you don't have that kind of money and the ability to market yourself in that kind of level, then you would skip advertising agencies because you want to make sure you're successful. So that's really important. Understanding your unique value proposition. This is something we are going to touch on within voiceover business tools, but it's really important for you to know, what do you offer that no one else can? What is unique to you? Uniqueness is key here. In a world where this is super competitive, if you don't know how to set yourself apart, you're not going to be able to market yourself successfully. This is also seen as your brand, but at the end of the day, your brand is you. It's what do you bring to the table? So always come from a place of strength, not, I'm just glad to get paid. I'm just glad that I got $50 for 1 minute of my time. No, that's not the place or position to come from. It's coming from a place of strength and understanding the value of a professional voiceover, what it brings to a company. So for example, if I'm marketing myself locally, which I did early on in my years, I understand one of the things that a pay to play offered me is, when I saw auditions come in, I saw who was hiring voice actors. And I realized that a lot of dentists hire voice actors. And I'm like, well, this is interesting. I'm paying my orthodontist $14,000 for my son's teeth. I'm going to offer them a voiceover. But I knew how to negotiate my rate, because I'm like, well, this is value. Just like I value him as an expert, he can value me as an expert. And that's really important. So I charged them accordingly because I knew and I understood that. So you need to understand that. List your benefits and the features that you bring. What kind of professional grade studio do you have? I have a Neumann U87. I don't offer that. I don't talk about that amongst my voiceover peers. But when I'm marketing myself to companies, you better believe I'm telling them now I have new ISDN number, Source Connect, all these things that make me valuable and easy to work with. You need to know those things and how it benefits them, because it isn't about just me spending $20,000 on my voiceover studio. It's about me being at a professional level, wanting to get paid professionally. So no one can come back to me and say they're going to charge me $50 for my job. It doesn't work that way. So when I command my rates, nobody ever has actually balked at my rates, because when I tell them what I bring to the table, they're like, okay, we get it. So a marketing plan that works for you, for your work schedule to execute successfully. I see a lot of people failing here because you're looking at what other people are doing. I want you to just create a tunnel vision on finding what works for you. We can learn from many people, but it's going to be rare that one plan is going to work for the next. I'm not about the cookie cutter approach. I think that it's a big mistake for me to tell you, you have to spend 2-3 hours a day marketing yourself when I don't know your life. So just something to keep in mind. Accountability is super important. We don't respect what we don't inspect. That's a saying that I had from a long time ago, and I really believe that. So find an accountability, pay for it, whatever it works, just do it. All right, tools to consider to help you market effectively. I'm going to run through these. Your customer relationship management tool. Danny spoke about voiceover review. A voiceover resume, production companies will ask for them. It's important to have. Your rate card, your own personalized rate card. Yes, pointing people to the GVA rate guide is a good idea, but I have found that when you do that, it's almost like you don't know what you're worth. So know what your minimum is, because how do you negotiate if you don't even know what it's going to take for you to walk into your booth to make money? I know what my minimum is. I don't tell my clients, well, it costs this much money for me to go into my studio. No, but I know what my standard and what my minimum is. Contract, what are your defined terms? When do you want to get payment? What about residuals, buyouts, all this stuff? You need to know this ahead of time. Don't go into Facebook groups. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. That's you not being prepared, and there's no reason for you not to be. There's a lot of automation marketing tools, email systems, organizational tools to keep you on track. I use many of them. I will be showcasing them in VoiceOver Business Tools. And it's important to have a follow-up plan to be top of mind. It's called TOMA. It's really important. Touch points. I love what Danny shared. You know, she talks about her dog. I love my dog. Whether you want to do newsletters, postcards, voicemail follow-ups, because again, they get to hear you. You want to touch on seasons because, hey, I love summer, or hey, Labor Day, or whatever, Thanksgiving instead of Christmas when everybody's bombarding them. But have a plan and revise as you go. Don't just stick to a plan and keep it. So my final thoughts are, many can benefit to reverse engineer your marketing goals. How you track what you're doing. Data doesn't lie. I love what Danny said about this. It's so important, and that's exactly what I teach my students, and we help them have an ability to track what they're doing so that we can see what works and what doesn't work, and you revise and you go at it again. So none of this happens overnight. Be patient with your learning curve and the process, and you will succeed. We all have different lives, different goals, different circumstances. That remember that whatever you choose, it has to work for you 100%. This isn't about what I think or what we think. It's about what you can actually implement to see success, because a lot of people love learning, but very few people actually go out and implement. So don't compare yourself to anyone. Be yourself. What works for one person won't work for the next. This is how I work in my coaching. It's about you, not the cookie cutter approach. And I have many different strategies that I've paid to learn and tools that I've learned to help find what works for you and your personality and your budget. So anyway, so remember, free only takes you so far. Make sure to invest in your business.
Amen. Sophia, thank you so much. That was just that was awesome. And you got so much in so little time. Well done. Sophia is our marketing coach here at GVAA. If you would like to work with her one-on-one, we will be providing a link to that. Again, this stuff is it's scary and it's hard. And hopefully everything that we've talked about so far, and we will take questions here in just a moment, is, the fact that you are a powerful being in your business. You can own this. You can do more than just be a listing on an online casting site. You can get agency representation. You can get your own independent clients. You have a position of power. And you have to have a position of power if you want to succeed where you have any say in what you do. If you don't want to have any say, then you can, just be at the mercy of whatever paid subscription you have. And again, for those who do choose to use it, that's, again, I'm not criticizing in any way, but the point is that there is life outside of online casting. Online casting once did not exist. Can it enhance things? Yes, potentially. And my interest in the GVA is we care very much about fair rates. So that is one of the main issues that with many online casting sites, that is something that agencies and more traditional forms have really monitored for talent. And perhaps there will be a day when that changes in the online casting world. And I pray that it does. I think that would be great. But in the meantime, you have to stand up for your own rates, for your own standards, for your own boundaries of what you will and will not do. And in order to do that, you have to do everything that we've just discussed. And just as Sophia said, it's not glamorous. It's not fun. It's not, definitely, I'm one of those people that I don't really, marketing is, I do like the minimum, like I'm like the minimum, which is why I went more with agency representation. I was like, that's more. So just as also Sophia said, everybody's going to be different. How you work is going to be different from the next person. So finding what works for you is key, knowing who you are, but again, also knowing how to go and implement that and realizing that you have a position of power in that relationship. Go define your own business. You can do it. It won't be easy, but you can.
Can I break in for one thing there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
So I just want to say though, yes, marketing yourself, it is hard, but you know what, when you get that email back from the client that you emailed and says, hey, you know what, I do want to work with you, that makes it all worthwhile. Like, you won't get that every time, but that makes it all worthwhile. So I just want to throw that out there because yes, it sucks. Yes, it's hard. Yes, blah, blah, blah. But
But when you succeed, and then, and we won't go into like income amounts now, but I will tell you that my income has quadrupled since I left online casting. Is that everybody's story? No, not necessarily. But for me, having that place of empowerment, like I didn't know that I could make so much more money if I really was being picky about who my clients are and what projects I was going to take on.
yeah.
So, having that financial independence for me has just been, it's been so cool. But again, obviously this didn't happen overnight. It does take time. So you guys, this was so great. We're going to go ahead and take some questions now, and then we will wrap up. Really quickly, before we take questions, we are going to post links to a number of resources here. Tobak, our wonderful host today, will be posting those. We'll be posting to World Voices, which is a wonderful organization which cares about fair industry practices out there. That's a wonderful group to be a part of. Go Wovo. We will be adding links to some of the free YouTube videos that I mentioned, to Sophia's VO Business Tools Facebook group that she has been mentioning, to Danny State's wonderful tool. Do you want to describe that really quick? Sorry, I don't feel like I'm not going to do it justice.
Yeah, it's just it's a voiceover tracking and management tool that's designed by voice actors, me, for voice actors, you, and it really does help you get a really clear understanding of what your business is and how you can keep track of clients and your jobs and all of that. So yeah.
Cool, and I think you also developed a way in which if you decided to leave an online casting site,
Yes.
you could take those contacts, correct?
Yes, we have a really pretty slick way to do that. It takes a little bit of work on your part, but not very much. And then we do it for you.
Awesome. I have it. I use it. It's really awesome. We will also be posting links to a Tailored Products Group, which is a partner with GVA that is great. They develop a cold calling list, and they go through all the listings of the people of the list that you get, the production houses, and they make sure that they accept voiceover demos. They refresh the lists every 6 months because things do change, or rosters, get full and whatnot. They're lovely people, and we will also be posting a GVA discount code if you decide you want to go and purchase any of those lists for yourself to get on your cold calling game. Do practice your cold calling. It is a skill. and you want to learn how to do that right. If you're not sure, I think he also has a thing that helps with that as well, or ask in the community. You just want to make sure you're not coming off of a sales call, or practice with Sophia, as she mentioned. There's a way to do that, which is specific. But anyway, those lists are available. We'll be posting, again, all different types of links for everything that we've discussed today, resources for you to research and to help you take everything we've shared with you today and go put it in action. So cool. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take some questions. So from Sharon Bloomberg, hi, my question is, how do I update my studio to ISDN standards, and what are some great talent agencies to approach to be listed on their rosters? In terms of how do I update my studio to ISDN standards, I think that would probably be more of a question for a home studio consultant, unless any of you are.
Yeah, actually, I can chime in, and this is one of the things that I talked about in my voiceover business tools group. Source Connect now has the ability for you to have your own ISDN number and actually use a codec. For many people don't know what that is, but the actual connection tool. There is ISDN bridging, and you can now have permanent ISDN bridging numbers with both IPDTL and Source Connect. So that is how you would now get ISDN if you don't live somewhere where ISDN is available, because it is a fading technology. So that's how I would answer that question. And then as far as talent agencies to approach, doing your own research, Google is, you will literally type Chicago talent agencies, they will all come up, yeah, or wherever you are.
It's that simple. Use Google. And there's a lot of talent agencies listed. Spend the time on each of the websites and look at their roster, listen to all of them, see, how you fit in there, see if it's really the right agency for you. Do not email an agency and then you discover they do primarily on camera and they don't have a voiceover department. Their agencies represent people for print, modeling, on camera work, all kinds of things. So make sure that you are finding something appropriate where you're a good fit. Also, again, we will put a link to Success with Talent Agency Submissions. I discuss a lot of that as well in there. So, and also, in all these wonderful Facebook groups, you can get recommendations from other people saying, hey, this agent is amazing. So use your networking and use your Google research, and you'll be in good shape. All right, actually, I won't even say names in case anyone wants to be anonymous. I don't know. How much longer do you believe talent may need to wait before submitting for representation to new agencies? This is a good question. I recently posted saying, hey, this is not the best time to submit to talent agencies because, as many of you are aware, Voices.com purchased VoiceBank, which has for many, many, many years has been a source for talent agencies to connect ad agencies, and it's been primarily it has not been an online casting site or whatever. It's still not an online casting site, but many talent agencies are not fans potentially of the whole online casting thing. It's really changed the whole marketplace, and many agents have left VoiceBank and no longer use it. So the point is they're making decisions about how if they want to keep using VoiceBank. Some agents are using VoiceBank still, some are not. But the point is there's a lot going on the agency scene right now that is a little bit more conflicting, and it's not the best time to apply to agencies. I don't know what a really great time frame is. I'd probably say, at least a couple months while things kind of shake out. I don't think there's really one right answer. Most agencies, if you submit, you will be listened to eventually. They're usually really, really great at that. But you may want to just wait another month or so, at least, I would think. So I think this question is for Danny. Were you on the Platinum membership or regular?
Both. So when I first started out on Voices.com, I was on the regular membership, and I booked a ton of work doing exactly what I talked about, And then after I got my demo, I did go on as a Platinum member for a period of time, and it didn't change my booking ratio at all. So it didn't change my booking ratio. It didn't change my my business. And in fact, once the practices that have been well discussed, in other forums were disclosed, I stopped doing any form of managed jobs. So yeah. So I was a Platinum, and then I wasn't. I wasn't, and then I was, and now I'm not, and I'm done.
Got it. Cool. All right. Thank you. Also, I think this is also in terms of voices.com. Also, did you have your contact information, website address, and phone number on your VDC profile?
I did.
All of the work I've gotten has been with Voices as the go-between without contact information for the client.
Then what I would say about that is if you're going to stay on voices.com, and I don't, that's a personal choice. If you're going to stay on voices.com, stop auditioning for the managed jobs. Just stop. Do audition for the non-managed jobs. Then you will have your contacts information.
Cool. Thank you, Danny.
It's hard. That's hard to do. I will just say, when I stopped doing it, I lost a lot of income because I was booking quite a bit through that.
Well, and that is the thing, and I think that's the thing that's the scariest for most people is, people don't want to lose that income. However, we all have many ways to make money.
Yeah.
And we have to be empathetic to ourselves as well in terms of, I'm making a transition right now. So I'm going to do this other thing on the side a little bit while I make that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think we've all taken, side income at various points to support. I mean, what we're doing is voiceover is not an easy industry to succeed in. It's a hard one. And, but making conscious choices about where you want to go, you have to have that faith that you can get there, and you can, especially if you're working hard on it in all the ways that Sophia and Danny have mentioned. So, yes, will it be a transition? Will it be hard? Yes, probably. And again, and no judgment here. People will do what they, as my friend Jason said, I'm pro actor. I am pro actor. We all have different situations and different things that we need to do in our lives. And it's not for me or anybody to judge anybody, and voice actors, we have to stand up for each other because this is a difficult time. And I've seen a lot of negativity too, people being torn apart. We have to support one another with understanding and empathy so that we can all move forward for our industry together, because that's the only way much of this is going to change. And so that we can stand up for fair rates together and fair business practices. So.
Can I just add to that too? So I did. So last year when I took myself off pretty much and stopped auditioning for anything that was managed, I did take a big pay cut. This year, I've already made what I made last year fully because I've concentrated on doing things differently. And so it's very possible. Yeah, you'll have a little bit of a dip, but you'll make it back and you'll feel good about yourself.
Can I interject and say this is also where, Danny, I feel it's so important for people to say this didn't happen magically. You made an intentional decision to shift your focus, and where you put your focus is where you're going to see growth.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it does absolutely have to be purposeful. And again, for me, my income literally quadrupled. It took me a year and a half, almost 2 years, to make the full transition to getting to the point. But at that point, I made way more money than I had ever made just, doing things the way that I had before I started implementing any sort of marketing. So cool. Okay, so we're going to add on to the next question here. Can you give some insight on investing aggressively in training and making a realistic assessment on a return on investment? Find it hard to invest $4,000 per year like you did, Sophia. I think that was directed towards you.
Actually, Danny was the one that I spent $20,000, so I don't think they're referring to me.
You're right, it's Danny. Danny, you are the star here. Go ahead and speak to that.
Yeah. Well, so a little bit of background on me. My husband was actually unemployed while I was starting my voiceover business. So it was a hardship to do it, but it was important. And it was one of those things where we said, okay, I'm just going to do this. He was, I'm going to do it. I'm going to spend the money. So it is hard, and but it paid off. So, yeah, the strategy is to find a good school, find good instructors. If you are anywhere near a metropolitan area, New York, LA, San Francisco, Seattle, if you're anywhere near some metropolitan area that you can actually plug into a live school where you're in a class with an instructor, you'll get so much more out of it. But if you're not, then look to GVAA, look to some of the really reputable schools where you can get one-on-one instruction and small group instruction.
Right, and this is something, I'm a huge believer in coaching. It's something that I think is so incredibly important. Yes, it's an investment. It costs money, and you can spend a lot less. And there are great recorded webinars and things of that nature too. But interaction, getting actual feedback, this is something Danny and I were discussing, is so incredibly important. We started GVA, and for those of you who are not aware, we are a voiceover school. We provide classes, small group classes that are interactive, that are a maximum 6 people to 8 people at the most. So you have that one-on-one time with your coach, and you're getting feedback that's personalized and specific to you. And we did this so that we could do this with people all over the country and all over the world. Is it the same as being in the same room with someone? No, it's always better like being in the same room with someone. It always will be. But that isn't always possible. And one of my biggest dreams was getting great coaches to people who are maybe in the middle of nowhere, because you don't necessarily have the resources or the ability to work with some of the best coaches in the business. And I wanted people to have that opportunity to work with tremendous coaches, which was a huge reason why I started all of this. So, you can check out the website. Again, we'll post a link to that. We have webinars, we have small group classes. But really at the end of the day, just know, whether it's with GVA or whoever you decide to study with, do your research on your voiceover school too. Just do your research because there's, like anything else, there's good and there's not so good out there. So
but I'm sorry to interrupt, Christina, but I just want to make this point because I have a lot of experience with voiceover training companies, and I can tell you that you can do your research. You definitely want to go online, Google. It's really hard to get scammed these days if you go on Google. But the biggest thing is, if nobody's making you a false promise. They're not promising you that if you take this class, you're going to be earning 6 figures tomorrow. Or if you work with me and you shadow me and you pay me a monthly fee to learn what I learned, it's going to translate into money into your pocket. I think those are big telltales. If they're a guru, my secret blueprint, those are all, I get marketing, like, trust me, I get it. I learn from these people. But at the end of the day, if people are really using that kind of terminology, that should be a clue right there that they're not being 100% honest. And if they're overpromising, a lot of people overpromise, underdeliver, and then nobody shares it online. It's really sad because I know it's hard to oust people, and I'm not suggesting that we badmouth people, but it is important that if you have a bad experience that you do share it, because it can help other people. You don't have to do it on Facebook. You can go to the Better Business Bureau and say, I paid $5,000 for this company. They produce really bad demos. I'm not able to get my money back. That's a legitimate, factual thing. So there's ways for you to get help, and there's to help others. I would recommend that is an approach.
Yeah, that's a really, really great point. And something we believe in so passionately here. And you'll notice with every demo we do, we don't have a package that includes coaching. And we don't have a set package where then you buy it and then it's a demo, because every single person who prepares for a demo requires a different amount of time to prep. It's not realistic. So yeah, that's a terrific point to make, Sophia. Anything that sounds too good to be true, where you can be a voice actor in a weekend, it's too good to be true. Sorry, it probably is. So can it help with the specific, hey, get your animation chops, whatever, like, yes, that's fine. But again, anything that promises instant success, it's just not an instant success kind of business. I'm sure there's exceptions to that, where Don LaFontaine just opened his mouth and was brilliant. But anyway, cool. So I'm going to try to wrap these up so we can wrap up on time. I think Tamara asks, do you personally ask for referrals, or do you find they just happen? I think that's for Sophia.
Mm-hmm. I do personally ask for referrals from people that I know. I don't just come to new people and say, please refer me. So I do, if I build a relationship, and I'm happy to reciprocate. Again, I do the male female. I think that works better. Or for me, in my instance, Spanish with French. I've had a lot of French students this year. Yeah, 2017. So it really is an organic process. So make sure that you're doing it in a respectful way. Never expect it. And then of course, if you get it, thank people and write thank you notes and maybe send them a thank you something. So yeah.
Great. And that actually brings me to the next question. Do these marketing strategies work for someone that has to work in a part-time status as a voiceover talent?
Yeah, that's a great question. I currently have, I have several people actually that I'm coaching that are doing this on a part-time basis, and they have a full-time job with families. I help them set up a marketing plan according to their budget, their goals. And I've helped people book their first job. I've helped people get their first agent. And then I've had people who have 20 years in this business and don't really understand the business aspect of it. I've helped them set up their rate card, understand negotiations. So yes, it really doesn't matter where you're at, beginner, intermediate, or advanced. Working with someone who understands the business and coaching and rate contract negotiations will help you go a long way. But yes,
Right.
it's totally doable doing this part-time. And it's actually even sometimes better because you only have an hour on Wednesdays, or you only have 2 hours on Thursdays. You
Right.
get a lot more done sometimes.
That's actually what I was going to say. Actually, being part-time is one of the best ideas when you're trying to succeed in voiceover, because also it will mean you have another source of income and you're not stressed about, I have to take whatever rate comes my way. Oh God, I have to do, if you have another source of income, it's going to allow you to invest in your demos, in great marketing skills, and learning how to negotiate and getting the training you need, where you're not freaking out about, am I going to have enough money to feed my family? Having another source of income is just going to reduce your stress, which will also improve your auditions. Like, you
Yes.
sound better if you're not like, oh God, I need the job. Like, you will. So I think being part-time is a phenomenal place to be. And then doing your coaching and learning and start to play with all these marketing skills where it's not coming from a place of desperation is a phenomenal thing. So rock on with your part-timeness, rock it. I did part-time for years and years and years.
Me too.
It's just, I think, I don't even know how long, just years and years. So it's a good thing. Cool. Is the consensus here then that P2P is not the way to go? It's a really good question.
I'd like to answer that.
I'll piggyback on you, Sophia. Go for it.
Well, here's the thing. I'm just, because again, I think from a business perspective, pay to play is here to stay. It is one prong of your marketing tools. Danny has spoken on why she's left. I've left that company. I never really was on it. I had a free membership, never used it. But it's here to stay. So learning how to use it to your advantage is going to be key. Working with people with integrity is going to be key. But like everything else, you are in charge of how you market yourself. And if you use all the tools within marketing, you're going to have a very varied portfolio, and you're going to be able to get business in all these different ways so that you're not always relying on one. So that's my advice.
Yeah, and my just piggyback onto that is that, yeah, so I think that online casting is a prong of your approach. And for me, how I use it on a weekly basis, how I use it on a weekly basis is if I don't have a job that I'm working on and I've got some extra time, I'll go and I'll do a couple of auditions on Voice 123 or on Bodalgo or one of the other casting sites. And when I don't have time because I'm booking and I'm marketing and I'm doing some other things, then I don't. So for me, it's a fill-in. It's that place where, okay, I've got some time, let me do that. So, yeah.
Cool, thank you. And my perspective is different. And again, that's why I wanted to have this, because, again, there's a lot of, we want to come from a place of empowerment and positive and solutions. That's what this webinar is about. It's not about smearing any one thing, because I think our industry is changing so fast right now. I don't think any of us have any idea what a lot of things are going to look like potentially tomorrow. So I wanted to share this because I personally, pay to play has not been the way to go for me. I actually don't book terribly well on pay to play. Does that mean I'm not a good talent? No, it doesn't mean that. It means that my skill set actually doesn't translate very well to pay to play. Why? Like Sophia, in terms of getting to know yourself, I speak 2 languages and I do crazy kids' voices. So if you need someone who sounds in 2 different languages that can sing, that's me. But that's far more valuable to very specific markets, very, very, very specific, and actually to talent agencies, because it's like that weird unicorn. Oh God, we don't really have, oh, thank God we have one, So that for me, it's a better fit. Online casting doesn't actually work for me very well. Could it work? Maybe, but I've found that my own independent stuff works much better. Again, for me personally, and in terms of my stance on pay to plays in general, I think, just as Sophia said, online casting isn't going anywhere. I think we can, I think that it could potentially be an amazing thing, but right now it's the wild, wild west out there, and there isn't rate regulation the way that it should be. Things that were traditionally done by casting directors, talent agencies, where they protected rates for talent and they protected talent, because talent, we all just want the job. We're all like, oh, I'll work. Okay, I'll do it for less. Like, I mean, it's just because you want to work. It's great, But traditionally there were things in place to help regulate rates and to protect you. And with online casting, you don't have that anymore. So you have to stand up for yourself with rates if you're going to use them. And if you aren't, then it becomes, you end up working for, you know, $10 or $30. I had someone offer me an 30-second commercial today for like $100. And I was like, wow, okay. It was amazing. But anyway, so the point is, are online casting pay to plays bad or good? I don't think either one. There are going to be good companies and bad companies, and that's going to evolve, and that's going to continue to evolve. But there are going to be ones that have integrity, ones that care about rates, and I think we'll see that continue to change and grow, hopefully, over the next few years. Or, you know, perhaps there will be more online casting developments that we see more from places like the union or talent agencies themselves. It's hard to say, but there's a lot going on. So just knowing your tools for your own independence so that you are not at the mercy of a paid subscription, that's what this is all about, so that you have that power. And again, for me, I also don't like paying for audition opportunities. That's the other thing for me. When I can have it for free, I don't want to pay for, you know, $400 a year or whatever it is just to be getting auditions when I can find it another way. So there's your diverse answer from three different
I think it's excellent. I think we need to just recap this if you don't mind. The reason the pay to plays have plummeted is because they don't care who joins them. They don't care if you just literally plugged in a microphone today and you're calling yourself a voiceover artist, or if you've spent $100,000 in the last decade learning voiceover. Anyone can join and anyone can play. So that's the danger of that kind of model. And that's why we've seen the deteriorating aspect. And because people do equate it to their traditional work hour, like, well, I'm getting paid $50 for 10 minutes. That's great. When in fact it's not. And so it's just educating the new people, because the new people are the ones who are getting taken advantage of. They're the ones that are being promised the moon and believing it. And then these companies are putting Facebook ads. I see them. And then there's other companies that like make 6 figures. All of that sounds wonderful. But at the end of the day, it's what has brought down the business. And that's why we're doing this webinar for free, because we want you to know the truth. And this is the truth. It's a business. It costs money. You won't make a lot of money without spending money first. It's like any business. I can't open up a restaurant and say, oh, well, I didn't buy enough pans to make all the dishes, so sorry. It just doesn't work that way.
And there may be people out there that don't care much about race. Oh, they're like, well, I'm making this, whatever, it's just me, that's what I'm gonna do. But you have to realize that if you want to still have a career in 10 years, that you can sustain as a full-time, that's your full-time living, you have to care about rates. You have to care about rates. It's your responsibility. It's all of our responsibilities to educate ourselves about what a fair rate is and to stand up for them. Because if we don't do it, nobody's going to do it. And then eventually, perhaps none of us will be able to sustain a full-time income unless we're literally just spinning wheels all day. And it's just, so it's important to care about the future of the industry if you would like to be in it. It's for yourself as well. So, okay. There's still some more questions. We're almost at an hour and a half, however, so I think it's time to wrap this up. We'll do our best to answer anything else in the Facebook group. I want to thank everybody for coming and joining us. Oh my gosh, my beautiful and talented and generous guests, Danny and Sophia, thank you so much for coming to do this with me and sharing your knowledge. This was so valuable. We will be posting this to our YouTube channel for anybody who wants to view it later and make furious notes. I know I'm probably going to go make notes with everything Sophia said. That was really good. Thank you both so much for your time and your contribution today. You are both just wonderful ladies, and thanks for fighting for power for all of us out there. Again, for those of you who don't know who we are, Global Voice Acting Academy, we're very excited to sponsor this today, free for all of you. Do check us out. We do strive to help voice actors in every way that we can in terms of career strategy, mentorship. We have a wonderful membership program in which we help with rate negotiation support, because yes, that's scary, regular Q&As for career strategy, feedback on demos, regular coach-led workouts, regular, just a huge resource library. We do everything that we can to try to help you succeed in the business. And you will find that this community is incredibly generous. Just as we've talked about with referrals, the voiceover people love to help each other. And it's just an incredible industry for that, which is the reason why probably we're all here today. Danny, thank you for coming and helping. Sophia, thank you for coming and helping. And Tobeck, our wonderful host, for coming.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And David Tobeck has pinned the comment with all the resources and links, because I've had a lot of teeth surgery recently and I'm taking on more students than normal. So if anybody does want to work with me, I do have openings in October. So.
All right. Well, thank you both. This was really, really wonderful. And everyone have a great evening.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.